Hi and welcome back to the channel. Today's video is a continuation of our American Civil War project. Regular viewers of our channel will know that we'd shown you previously the Union infantry, artillery and commanders and that we'd done. But at the same time working on those, we were also in parallel working on these Confederates in front of you. Now, we actually have played a game with these miniatures, and if you follow us on Facebook, you would have seen the game we did at Easter using the miniatures and that we've painted up. So I actually apologise for not getting this video out sooner, for showing you what we've been doing, but I just thought, let's get this video out now while I remember, because I have a terrible memory, and show you what we've done. So let's get into it. So the first brigade in front of you is Brigadier General van der Loo's brigade. Now, our game that we're going to be doing is, or timeline that we're going to be doing, is based on from Antietam through to Gettysburg. Now, between Antietam and Chancellorsville, the armies don't really change that much. The regiments and the brigades don't really change. There is some minor changes, but it doesn't really, there's no drastic changes. But after Chancellorsville, both sides were decimated. That battle really did knock out lots of generals, lots of regiment commanders, and even took out lots of units. So again, both sides reorganised as quickly as they could, especially the Confederates, reorganised their army structure. And also this could mean reorganising the regiments within the brigades and the brigades themselves. So when we come to play Gettysburg battles or scenarios around Gettysburg, we will add in the appropriate different units that were there at the time compared to what we've shown you in front of you. So that's just sort of like a little caveat to what's going on. Rules where you're going to be using to play our games is Pickett's Charge, written by Dave Brown. We love the rules, we love how the flavour that has on reflecting the American Civil War. But we also do play, and I know some of our friends in that play, Black Powder, and we're using the Glory Hallelujah supplement, and we'll also use it for that. So that's how it's all based up. Regiments in front of you, there's 4 regiments. They're all standard regiments in Pickett's Charge. So 5 bases, standard regiment. And like I said in the previous videos I've done for the Union, for playing Black Powder, that footprint, that overall footprint is still a standard unit in Black Powder. So again, so that's how I look at it. I sort of try and sort of work out between the 2 sets of rules how I can sort of just slot it in that works happy with both. So as I said, van der Loo in front of us, Brigadier General van der Loo, at the time that we're representing him, born in Darlington, South Carolina. His grandfather and his 2 great-grandfathers fought in the Revolutionary War, and interestingly enough, under Francis Marion. Now, you guys know who Francis Marion is. He was the Swamp Fox. It's fascinating read, Francis Marion. If you haven't sort of checked him out before, go and search him, and that is really, really interesting. So let's get into the miniatures. So we have the commander here as us, Brigadier Loo on the front there. Yeah, so these 2 are Perry's, just generic leaders, and the Gideon bearer is actually a Perry's Union Gideon bearer. This is what they listed them as. We get 3 in a pack, I think, Union Gideon bearers and that, which we've used, like I said, on our Union, representing the brigade commanders and so forth. We wanted to follow sort of similar thing with how we did the Union by putting a flag on the brigade commanders and divisional commanders, etc., just to sort of give it more colour and more excitement, I think. So first up, when we have the 1st Regiment, 4th Alabama, whoops, and flags on all of these miniatures are a mixture of flags of war and GMB. These miniatures you see in front of you now, I'm showing you, so I'm sort of spinning around, are all redoubt. Majority of these are redoubt that you see in front of you, and there are some First Corps, so mixed in together. That's why these lot are brigaded together, because they are quite big figures, but on the tabletop you don't really notice it. So next up then we have the 2nd Mississippi. Again, like these, lovely animation, lovely sculpts, really look like they're doing something. So yeah, really, really cool. So that's those. And then down there we have in front of us here, we have the 6th North Carolina. Now, I said to you they're First Corps, redoubt miniatures. 2 on the back are Perry plastics. So again, if you look at the front there, we're spinning round. Again, not too bad. I think they do within the regiment. You don't notice it. That's a good way of sort of heading. So fitting really well. I was 2 commanders short, 2 figures short of this regiment. Had a spare sprue, and I thought, well, I'll do them up for that. Won't notice them in the back of there. And the 4th regiment is the 11th Mississippi. Love this officer figure, you know, really, really nice. Again, going round. I've decided to put on the state flag for this one instead of obviously the battle flag. Just again, for something a little bit different, you know, to sort of show different flags and that. They had, most Confederate regiments only had one flag in them, but that is not to say that they didn't have more. They used to carry, some of them used to carry some little pennants, and some regiments like the Union did carry two. So, but nine times out of 10, majority of the times, they would have only had one. But yeah, so I'd like to represent the state flags where I can. So just again, change it up a little bit. So the next brigade in front of us then is Colonel William Woodford's brigade. Now, Colonel Woodford had previous military experience when he fought in the Mexican-American War. And when he left, the war was over and he left those services, he then went on to study to become a lawyer. But one of the most interesting facts, in my opinion, I think, is the fact that it is said, I've read about, that he voted against secession when the votes were going out. But when the war was declared, he then decided that he would enlist and fight for his home state of Georgia. So again, I think that's quite an interesting sort of little fact to point out about these things, and it makes it interesting. Makes it sort of, that's what I like about history, and that is you find these little snippets that sort of makes you want to go and look at it a little bit more and find out a little bit more. So again, miniatures wise, these are Perry miniatures. Like I said before, the Gideon Bearer is exactly like the other one. Let's get a pack of 3. Flag, as I said, these flags here are GMB and flags of war, and I can't remember for the life of me which ones was what. Again, put some rocks on the bases like I did with the Union ones, and that just to sort of like break it up a little bit. And I like putting them on the oval bases now. I think they look really, really cool, the commanders and that. So in front of us here then we have, these are, say, mixed of, this regiment here is Redoubt miniatures, but I've mixed them in with a Perry miniatures brigade. So again, you don't really notice it. So really cool, lovely miniatures, lovely sculpts, nice animation. Say a nice flag, I like the flag on the back. And they say this is the 5th Texas. Oops, I'm going to drop a figure then. Really, really cool. And like I said, I'm pretty sure these two were flags of war. This I definitely remember being flags of war flag, the bonnie blue flag. And I thought you've got to have the star on it, the Texas star. And that's why this regiment has two. Like I remember said previously about they didn't usually have two flags in their regiment, but again, I just thought that sort of represents the Texas Brigade. And over the back here, these are, say, Perry miniatures, Perry plastics, so the early box set. And these are the 18th Georgia. Oops. Again, really nice, just very quick washes, base coats washes, make them look a little bit drabby, you know, with their butternuts and some of the grey, so they're sort of picking up kit where they can, or the kit's getting worn. And this one here, let's put this one up here, let's have this one. 4th Texas, again, more plastic minis, Perrys. And again, these ones are definitely a mix of regulation uniforms, bit of butternut. Let's put that one there. So again, showing a little bit of butternut at the back there. Different blanket rolls, because they're basically sort of by them sort of mid-war and that they're coming and going as you please, sort of thing, and they're picking up what they can get hold of, and that's really interesting. This regiment at the back is a large regiment, 7 bases, as I said before, and this is the 1st Texas. Again, we've done these mostly as regulation. So again, so you'll sort of show the evolution of the brigade as it's going through from early uniform, and then all the way through to sort of like they've got what they can get their hands on. That's it. That is Colonel Woodford's brigade, the Texas Brigade. So lastly then we have the last couple of items, which is a battery of artillery. It's a mixed battery in Pickett's charge, and obviously the commander himself, the divisional commander John Bell Hood. More on that in a minute, but let's just get into the artillery. So again, these are all Perry miniatures, and that in front of you. And here we have then a 12-pounder Napoleon, really, really nice miniature. Love it the way they're loading the guns. All the animation I think on the Perry guns and that, and the crew and that, are really, really cool. Love them. Love the miniatures. Again, a few stones and that, a few tufts, a few flowers and that dotted about. Again, representing, like I said in the previous videos for our Union, representing the sort of types of terrain and that we've walked over and that. And it is really, really cool. And I've tried to sort of emulate some of it and that within these bases. Yes, there was a lot of trees, obviously, in some of the battles, but there is also a lot of open plains and a lot of others, but some very nice undulating terrain, and that's the biggest thing I noticed, the undulating terrain. So yes, 2 mixed batteries, got a 10-pounder power there, and as I said, a 12-pounder Napoleon. So again, it all makes it look really, really cool on the table. And when you're playing those in Pickett's Charge and that, you can reflect those differences of the different batteries and that. So that's really, really nice. I like. And the next set, then we have John Bell Hood. Again, all Perry miniatures. Again, thought it on a bigger oval base. Gideon bearer, like we said before, and just normal mounted officer. Confederate, I think it's just Confederate officers, I think it is, or just normal mounted colonels. Can't remember now off the top of my head. Done those, put them in there, and obviously we got the officer himself. Now, the Hood figure is probably, I think, one of the worst figures in my opinion in the Perry ACW range. It's very, very blobby, which is unlike them and their casting and their moulding. But we painted him up now and put him on here. But when you see him and that, it's not very well, it's not very sharp lines on him at all. He is quite blobby miniature, so, but it's done now, it's all cool. So that's John Bell Hood. I did have a thought about doing a video, separate video on the Hood's Texas Brigade and John Bell Hood himself, like I did the Irish Brigade. I still might, yeah, it's still sort of mulling over in my mind, and that about doing the history behind the brigade, or a brief history behind the brigade. But well, we'll see what happens in the future. But there we have it then, guys. That is the American Civil War Confederates for the moment, and I hope you've enjoyed sort of seeing this little sort of showcase of what we've done so far. We will be going back to the project. Like I said at the beginning, it's an ongoing project. It's going to take time. We're just going to keep going through and plough through, and over the time, the armies will just grow and grow and grow. Hopefully got the space to play it on. But there we have it. So yeah, that's the Confederates for so far to show you, and I say I'll leave the links at the end of this video for the Union videos and that if you haven't seen them. But until next time, guys, please stay safe and happy wargaming.